year of teaching senior seminar has been a thrill for me and for Professor Zitta. Everybody in the back is Tony Zitta, who is teaching one of the sections of senior seminar. He makes a lot of things happen for his students. I'm not going to really talk much up here. It's just going to get the evening going. This is all about these seniors. The 6 of you are going to be wonderful. Very proud of all the work you've done preparing for this moment. So get up here and enjoy it. And we're going to start. My name is Catherine Dent. I'm the director of the Writers Institute, and I will be joined by my colleague, Professor Matt Mell, in giving the introductions for these seniors. So I'm going to start, and we're going to go with our first person, who is Lexi Richards. Lexi Richards comes to us from historic Collegeville, Pennsylvania. In addition to being a creative writing major, Lexi is also earning a minor in history. Lexi says that her favorite place to write is at Starbucks, with a drink and music playing to help her focus on her writing. But she says, I find myself writing any time of the day when inspiration hits. Lexi is a gentle and thoughtful writer and a wonderful student to have in class. When she took Introduction to Fiction with me, she wrote a memorable story about a ghost imposing his memories on a college student, writing that makes me suspect that Lexi will follow in the footsteps of some of her favorite authors, Natalie Haynes, Julia Quinn, Stan Lee, Soman Chainani. I've also heard from my colleague Carla Kelsey how Lexi has thrived in advanced poetry this semester. In addition to her creative work, I'm appreciative of Lexi on a practical level. Her accomplishments in recruitment last spring were stellar. She conducted student outreach by text and email campaigns. She sent individual Rivercraft postcards to every student who applied, and she is one of the primary reasons that so many students successfully entered the creative writing major this fall. So please give a round of welcome to Lexi.
Thank you, Dr. Dent, for those kind of thoughtful words. So my first poem is from my intermediate poetry class with Dr. Prince. It's a lot about mythology, so I wrote this one about the Norse god Loki. It's called A Flame for the Mischievous God. Your candle sits on the center of my desk. The green matches your aura of when you appear. A silver snake to match your silver tongue, a spider to match your elusiveness. You stand 14 feet tall. In your shadow I feel protected. Nothing can touch me when you are around. Your presence always around, guiding me along. You put up guardrails so I don't stray, always watching to ensure I'm safe. The chaos follows in your wake. Yells of anger or annoyance ring in my ears. I ignore them, for your chaos brings me peace. I light your candle, Loki. I ask for your protection and guidance. I wait to feel your familiar presence. I blow out the flame. My next poem is also from my intermediate poetry class, and it's about the Egyptian goddess Amen. It's called Your Devourer. Your soul is bitter, bitter is your heart at the end, and I cannot wait to devour it. It that sits in Anubis's palm, palm that places the heart on the scale of balance and of truth, truth that you are unfit for the field of reeds. Weeds flit through your soul, souls that I eat are hardened as my scales shine my excitement. Excitement at devouring your heart, heart that weighs down the scales, scales that determines your punishment, punishment that I so enjoy claiming and eating without remorse. Remorse is what saves you. You failed the test, and now I devour your heart. My next poem is called Foggy Memories, and I wrote this in advanced poetry with Dr. Kelsey. I don't remember when you used to play nicely. Nice was never in your vocabulary after the truth revealed itself. Truth became explosive and volatile to the heart. My heart shut down after getting stabbed too many times. Prometheus has his liver pecked at. I have my heart shredded apart. I don't remember when my heart shut down. I don't remember when you had a heart. My next poem is called Childhood Woes. My childhood seemed to be normal for me, though when I tell stories of my past, it occurs to me that it couldn't be farther from the truth. 1. My mom seemed to always live with us, always a constant presence in the crowded house, always a complaint on her tongue, always degrading my mom and brother straight to me, degrading her friends even. I wondered what she had to say about me. 2. Loss is a part of life, but that doesn't make it easy. My papa leaving felt too soon. I never seemed to properly mourn him. I still wonder what it would be like if he was still around. My grandmother fought a tough battle before she waved the white flag. Her spirit was there to the end. I watched my family start to crumble within. 3. My brother was a hurricane I never saw coming. Struggling with a mental illness pushed him to the forefront of my family's minds. In my mind, I had to grow up fast to lessen my parents' worries. My brother's outbursts were stressful and scary. I couldn't appear affected. My parents needed a rock, so I needed to be that rock. 4. Putting myself second became second nature. My brother needed help. I don't need help. My parents are arguing. I need to help them. My work needs workers. I don't need a day off. My friend is depressed. I need to help them. My therapist tells me it's time to put myself first. I don't know how. Independence came easy to me. I've been doing it for years now. I do wish I had more time to be a child, but then I wouldn't be who I am today. These are my childhood books. My next poem is called Anger Equals Safety. I've always feared my brother when he would rage. A tornado would go through the house, him at the center. My brother never hurt me, though I thought he would at times. I was a mouse in the presence of a hungry cat. My mother says that people take their anger and fear out on those they feel safe with. If my brother feels safe with me, then why does he make me not feel safe? My brother never realized how his actions would terrify me. He doesn't understand himself either. I forgave my brother when he grew older. He'll always be my brother, no matter what he does. And then my last poem is called Anxiety. Anxiety was a concept I never understood. What's the cause of it? Why do people have it? How do people get it? I never realized I had it until it was pointed out to me. Is that why my heart went unexpectedly race? Why I struggled to give presentations? Why I struggled to talk to people? I didn't want to acknowledge it, so I ignored it. You're fine. Just present and talk. Ignore your quick breath. Just say something. Don't overthink. Anxiety attacks are a bitch. You can't ignore them. Are you stupid? You completely forgot the point of the project. Dumb. Idiot. Pathetic. I didn't want to be medicated, even though I knew I needed it. Can you calm yourself down? Can you live with this level of anxiety? No. I need help. I've grown to live with my anxiety. Research helped. Who knew there were so many branches of anxiety? There's generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety disorder, separation anxiety disorder, phobias. Apparently I have all kinds of anxiety. Aren't I special? I don't like to tell people that I have anxiety, though I know it would help if I told my teachers. They don't need to know why I don't ask for help. They don't need to know that I struggle with participating. They want me to stand in front of a group of people and talk when it looks like everybody is judging me. Why does everybody look bored? Am I boring? I'm boring. They hate it. They hate the presentation. I did it wrong, didn't I? I did. They think I'm stupid, don't they? They don't need to know that I think they all hate me. I mean, who likes a person that does a presentation wrong? Who answers questions wrong? Doesn't contribute out of fear of saying something stupid. Why does she need help? Why does she ask so many questions? Doesn't she listen? They don't need to know that I think all of this. I want to scream at my anxiety, even though it's all in my head. I really be telling myself to fuck off. Well, that's never saw me before, so fuck you, anxiety.
Can you hear me okay? I've taught all the seniors up tonight, and it's been a real pleasure and an honor. Kara Tobin is a senior creative writing major and publishing and editing minor from Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Dr. Silas Sobel writes that he has been impressed by Kerr's fiction this term at the intermediate level, saying, "In Kerr's writing, I find a deep commitment to character and a marvelous fascination with relationships. Her stories investigate how relationships can encourage our worst impulses and, to quote Kerr, leave our edges black, charring, shriveling into ourselves. Yet adroitly straddling the line between embittered pessimism and naive optimism, Kerr's work also considers how relationships might enlarge us, embolden us, or temporarily set us free." Having taught Kerr before, I co-sign this wonderful, accurate statement from Dr. Sobel. And I also love the intensive, high-stakes character dynamics at play, which seems to be a hallmark of her stories. Kerr also served as my teaching assistant in an intro to fiction workshop, and I was impressed by her good sense, good cheer, and the erudite, generous critiques she provided to student writers, modeling dedication to the craft. In terms of writing advice, she says, "It's okay to not finish a draft. Sometimes moving on and returning to it will give you the push and inspiration you need. Also, lean hard into rage poetry. It can help you break down intense feelings." Please join me in welcoming Kerr Tucker.
Thank you, Professor Knoll, for those kind words, and also for Dr. Sobel for the kind praise you also left. Tonight, I'm going to be reading 5 poems. 3 of them are from my time in intermediate and advanced poetry, and the other 2 I actually wrote this semester. The Street Poor. If you knew his ending from grabbing his hand, would you have done it all over again? Seeing his flesh ripped from his back, chunked and scarred, crunch of metal to bone, jagged breath, ribs concaved in pain, his last wish before his life drained from his eyes. A haven to the Savior, companion of life he never experienced, yet somehow his generosity saved your life. A simple hand from the Son of Man changed the course of your lives. His hand twitches absent-mindedly, your prayers of mercy tumbling from your once ruined lips, pleading to save the one you cared for, lived for, watching in horror, knowing nothing you can do will save him. So I ask again, would you have let him save you if you foresaw his demise? So, would you do it again? Son of Man. Your untimely death was honorable, to say the least, although I will never understand the man you call God. Exiled to the depths of our saviors, yet the temptation nips at our heels, all tongue, no teeth, like the unspoken motions between your most trusted apostle. Lover to the street poor, saving those who take your hand, gripping so hard it draws blood, yet the teeth start to clash, tongue like serpents, love being his answers, letting you go. The slashes, jagged and cursed upon your holy skin, my back imprinted from another lifetime. Yet, the higher they hang my cross, I feel your halo of thorns gashing my skull, dying for the world's sins. The mortal and the God. She was the first, on her knees, whispering words to the unwavering marble. I'm just your humble servant. A sheen of sweat on her back, knees aching from the unforgiving ground, a pulling sense of dread, a washing power of relief, the sun relentless. I beg you, please, I'm so alone, show me how to move on, the mortal cried. Thanatos already took everyone she loved, left behind, frozen in state. Clammy fingers reached towards the marble, a hope, a prayer. You must give yourself over to me, a cold voice whispered, coming from everywhere and nowhere. Shivers ran through the mortal, fingers stalling against the statue. She already had nothing.
She craved death, the ever-present looming. Why wouldn't they cut her string? Have the gods no mercy? I want you. Give me everything, and I shall give you the world. Back arching, a finger trailed down her spine. I have nothing. Pearly beads of sweat against her forehead. Thunder rumbled the sky, body rocking at the force. What could anyone want with her? A soul so broken, so damaged. There was nothing else but death. Even her lifeline so full, bound for greatness. The mortal wanted the mercy of the gods to end it, and her. Yet her purpose, much too great, a yielding, a bargain. Give her to me, and I shall give her purpose. The mortal lay sprawl on the ground. She hoped for Thanatos to take her. What would death want with a sweet thing like her? Hands covered in clay, not a thought behind her eyes, pottery. Finger dipping into the water, brushing along the inner rim, pushing and pulling, pottery. Inside the fire, her eyes remained blank, hands caked, cracked with muck, for she only wanted one thing, pottery. Designs so careful, lines pressing, weaving, and winding. Where was she in her trials? Heracles had 12. She shall never receive immortality. Pottery. Ink dried, salty air, squid left rancid to rot. Where was the charcoal when she needed it? Left behind. Death written all over that basin. Water washed away her sins, her thoughts, her pottery. Too sweet, that's what those men whispered. Failed attempts at their seduction. She would only agree if they bent to her will, wishing for only one thing. Yet their hands already touched her, no promise of murder. Pottery. Lips drawn to her neck, a hand under her dress, yet no sword granted her wish. What good was she now? Tossed aside after their fill, she tasted of sweet wine and honey. Now she left dripping and used, for that's all she could be to them, not if they agreed. So, in her tainted nature, she went back to her pottery. Water distorted what she saw, a broken, used thing, chilling thoughts of why no one would want to do it. Dropped, spiraling the longer she stared. She saw a ghost. Everyone saw a toy. The longer she dwelled, the harder her head became. It was no longer just pottery. Her honey nature catered, drawing men closer. They were ever the same, never to hold up their end of the bargain. She shall never know why, buried so deep in her head, crafting pot after pot, wishing death would find her, end the suffering she carried, but the god would never let her be harmed. And my final poem, Goddess of Beauty. Loving yourself is a losing game. Traditionally, that's how it goes. But Aphrodite knows best. Her flesh preens perfection, soft tummy rolls, thick thighs that show strength, lips of a lover, the eyes of a warrior. Doubt pricks at the seams, marble cracks crumble into ash, but still her body remains to spread words of love. Your body can be perfect, more flesh to hold, easier to embrace yourself, love yourself. But if the great goddess of beauty can have curves, then so can I. My weight shouldn't determine how I love, because I can love myself. My heart full, not broken by heartbreak or crushed by society, each art made in grace. For Aphrodite herself hand-carved my marble, for I am beauty and elegance, so fuck your standard of beauty. Thank you.
Laurel Barnes is a senior creative writing major from Meadville, Pennsylvania, who recently published 3 poems in the inaugural edition of Ginkgo, Susquehanna's magazine that explores the nexus of environmental science and creative writing. I found this fitting because I've come to admire the wildly inventive worlds that Laurel consistently wills up on the page, which have the bold world building and rich colors of the best fantasy, yoked to the emotional punch and deep psychological truths of the best realism. Laurel's fiction has it all. In my fiction workshops of all levels, Laurel's prose has been a standout for its bravura sentences, complex narrative choices, well-sculpted scenes, and sterling wit. But along with the flashing language, the stories are always character-driven, with thorny moral questions for the characters to navigate, which makes for such an engaging, collaborative reading experience, page to page. I'm excited for everyone to read their novel in progress, a real page-turner that explores a mysterious secret club at an all-boys school with a sophisticated plot line of tangled identities, backroom politics, and possible magic. I have to applaud Laurel for their audacity and risk-taking on the page, never balk at complexity. Music is another part of Laurel's life on campus. They've taken part in Susquehanna Chorale throughout their time at the university. And as you'll soon find out, Laurel has stage presence in any genre. Please join me in Laurel Barnes.
Thank you, that was lovely. All right, so I'm doing an excerpts from a short story, so turn from the poetry. This is excerpts from Gloria Deo. Gloria greeted me with her usual glorious smile. With my recent discovery in mind, my gut churned in delight and nauseated horror. My cheeks began to flush again, a betrayal of my body in the highest order. Book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 29 to 30. And if thy right hand offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for that one of thy members should perish, and not thy whole body be cast into hell. Was it possible to cut off my blushing cheeks and tingling lips? I could live without my eye or my hand, but without a mouth or face? I wish Matthew gave 4 examples of less easy to remove body parts. Gloria was staring at me. She didn't look concerned, only patient. I couldn't trust myself to open my mouth and respond for a long moment. Good morning, I said. Good morning, come on in. Don't bother with your shoes. We'll be going outside soon anyway. I headed inside and settled down on the same couch as yesterday. Gloria joined me. I couldn't figure out if she was actually sitting closer to me than before, or if I was imagining it. So, I began and then didn't continue. Gloria kicked her feet against the carpet. So, she repeated, ready to help out our aunt subjects? Your aunt subjects. I had to specify that. Our had all sorts of dangerous implications. Sure, I was thinking boiling water. Just heat up the kettle and dump it in. I suppose that was as good a strategy as any, so we headed to the kitchen. Should we go and find it? I leaned against the counter, so we aren't running around with hot water while looking for it. Gloria shook her head. I went out yesterday after you left and found it. It's like a 2-minute walk east. Should be quick and easy. The massacre of an entire ant colony, quick and easy. The bubbles in my stomach matched the bubbling water. When the whistle sounded its alarm, Gloria and I walked in silence to the anthill. Our long morning shadows fell over it, portents of doom. Gloria stood on her tiptoes and began to pour. Loose dirt flew into the air. I stood a few steps away to avoid being splashed. Besides the sounds of the water, our deed was silent. No screams of pain or panic. If Gloria could hear something I couldn't, she didn't react. I watched as a single ant gripped a larva above her head and staggered away from her home. Without much thought, I reached out with my Mary Janes and crushed the nurse in her charge. They would have died anyway. Where would they have gone? Ants don't plan for complete societal decimation. They don't do duck and cover drills in larvae school. You should come over to my house sometime, I offered into the silence. Gloria glanced over at me as she finished her pour. We just got a bomb shelter. You should check it out. She smiled and tossed her hair over her shoulder. Sure. Do you think we need another round? She wiggled the kettle in the air. Puking wouldn't be dignified or cute, so I didn't. I think just one was enough. If I had to watch it again, my crush on Gloria might actually disappear. Okay, she shrugged. Duty's done then. She turned and headed back to her house. She probably expected me to follow her back. Instead, I just ran home. Gloria didn't need to invite me over again after school on Monday. There was an energy between us. We could just tell that we passed beyond invitations or requests. The place I sat on the couch felt like my place now. How should I feel about that? I never wanted a place here with Gloria Parker and her dusty, empty, cramped home. I did not belong here, but I had a place here, all the same. I tucked my legs closer together. They haven't said anything new, she told me. She'd taken off her shoes, and to avoid her eyes, I stared instead at the worn and dirty toes of her white socks. Do you check every day? Well, I feel like it's my duty to, right? What if they needed me for something and I wasn't there? If Gloria was playing God, she was doing a better job of it than actual God was. How many times had someone needed him and he hadn't been there? Then again, wasn't that just the way of it? He didn't fix your problems for you, he guided you so you could fix your problems yourself. I said this to Gloria, and she laughed. Well, sure, but I'm here and it's no bother to me, right? It's only a couple minutes a day. They'll learn to grow reliant on you. She shrugged. Maybe, but why does that matter? It's not like I'm going anywhere. She could be hit by a nuclear bomb and die, but if that happened, I suppose the ants would most definitely be hit and die too, so I had to give this point to her. Want to check out my room? She asked, and it felt like my cheeks had caught on fire. I was sure I looked like a fool, but that innocent sentence sent my mind spiraling down paths I didn't even know the answer to. If she was a boy, I would know what that meant. That sentence had connotations I understood, but not in this case. I had friends who invited me to hang out in their rooms before. It meant exactly that. With Gloria, it shouldn't be any different. But it was. I pictured sitting down on her bed. She would sit down beside me, and we'd make small talk for a minute about her decorations or the color of her bedspread. And then she would put her hand on my cheek, or maybe I put my hand on hers, and we would lean in and kiss, and what then? What even happens then when it's another girl? Do girls even kiss? What am I thinking? Of course they did. Evelyn? Gloria said, and I realized I'd gotten lost in my own head. She probably thought I was an idiot who didn't even understand simple questions. We should go to my house instead, I blurted out. It's the first thing that came to my mind. To look at the bomb shelter, I mean. Oh, she said, and later that night I would stare at my ceiling and try to figure out if I heard disappointment in her voice or not. Okay, sure, sounds fun. She walked away and I stood in the kitchen and stared at the refrigerator. What was I doing? I felt like some buoy adrift in the ocean, bobbing up and down, and seagulls would come to sit on me and poop on my head. Gloria came back into the kitchen, now with shoes on. She grabbed my hand, linking our fingers together, and it was soft and warm and so unlike anything I had felt before. Let's go, she encouraged, and I nodded and went, swept along by her tide. Our backyard had an actual garden, with pink camellias and daisies contained in stone-circled beds. I suppose Mrs. Parker didn't really have time to do gardening if she was working so much. Maybe she was just bad at it. Across the yard, opposite the willow tree, a big circular hatch settled deep into the ground. The dirt here was torn up and soft from when the workers came and installed the shelter. It would be weeks or months before the grass grew back. It's lead-clad steel, I said, and reached down to grab the handle, bracing my feet into the dirt so I could heave it open. Even with the angle, it took all my strength. In a real situation, my father would open it. Gloria stood silently and watched until I managed to get the hatch open. She leaned her head over the dark hole. Doesn't seem very big, she commented. I shrugged. It doesn't really need to be. Just enough space to keep us safe. Want to go in? She stepped forward. Sure. I led her down and pointed out the features to her. Mother and father had had their own guests over to show off their new shelter, and I tagged along on a few of these tours. So I knew to point out the Geiger counter on the wall, and the emergency oxygen tank stored under the floor, and where the canned water and food was. Gloria followed along, a patient listener, and when I was done, we sat down next to each other on one of the bunk beds bolted to the round wall. So all this will keep you safe? It's supposed to. We wouldn't have saved up so much for it otherwise. What do you do once you survive? Sorry? She leaned back on her hands and looked up at the ceiling. I mean, once the bomb goes off and you live, Everything's gone. What then? I blinked. I didn't really know. Well, I suppose we go to where the bomb didn't hit. The government will help us. The whole country can't be gone. And there will be other people from other shelters too. They'll tell us what to do and everything will be okay. We're prepared for this. That's boring, she said, and I stared at her. She caught my look and shrugged. Well, it is. Not being prepared, I get that. But I mean, your whole life gets blown to smithereens and you just crawl out of the ground and go back to as normal as you can get? Normal is good, she scoffed. If you say so. I do say so. I couldn't let another conversation end with her getting the last word. It wasn't a good response on my end, though. I kicked my legs on the bed and realized I had found myself in the exact position I was trying to avoid. Alone with Gloria in a room with a bed. Our hands were dangerously close together. Thanks for coming over, I said, and she turned to look at me. Yeah, please, just leave. You'll have to come over to my house sometime soon. Definitely. I need you to leave so I can get a grip. All right, she stood up. I do have to go do my homework. That history essay, right? She laughed. It would never stop sounding beautiful. Please don't ever leave. I stood up too. Yeah, Mr. Douglas needs to stop giving us so much. I'm farther away from the ladder, but I realized the horror of what would happen if I had to climb up behind her and rush past her. Exactly, we have homework from other teachers too. We reached the top and waved goodbye. I heaved the hatch back closed and it slammed down. The heavy ring felt like a harbinger, but of what, I didn't know. Thank you.
Trevor Ream is a creative writing and finance double major from New Fairfield, Connecticut, who recently worked as a market analyst for Cadential Innovation. I've had the pleasure of teaching Trevor in Fiction Workshop and was struck, as were his classmates, by the sheer, consistent ambition of his pieces and the boldness of his world building. Professor Saraceno writes, Trevor Ream is a fiction writer and graphic artist who creates compelling universes in his work. He tackles big themes, mortality, racism, moral compromise, with the maximalist energy of writers such as George Saunders and Thomas Pynchon. It would be a mistake, though, not to recognize the intricacy of his work or note Trevor's fine instinct for manipulating genre conventions to bring out the deeper nuances. Trevor is a talented young writer with a creative mind, and I have no doubt he will excel in his future beyond Susquehanna. So for me, just a little more on those big themes. Trevor was never afraid to take on high-minded, abstract ideas in his fiction, ideas of God, freedom, paradise, even the concept of color itself. But the stories are also concrete and suspenseful, a winning combination of reading pleasure and intellectual heft. Trevor advises younger writers that sometimes you need to be your harshest critic. Certainly true. Please join me in welcoming Trevor Ream.
Thank you. Such kind words. I was not expecting that. I'm going to be reading a short story called Silence of Dawn. It was dawn, the time of day when the sun is just peeking over the horizon, the time of day when its beams pierce the trees and blind you. The crows were loud this morning, and the windows failed to muffle their screams yet again. The leaves were red, weighed down as the blood spilled off, staining the grass. Mother left the house to chase away the crows, a job that was initially designated to father. It was the 5th time this week. The trees lining the forest have started to die, and the grass has turned brown. Too much iron in the soil, but the dead don't care, so the blood continues to spill. The crow stopped squawking, left to go east, leaving us in the silence of dawn. But they'll come back. There's too much blood to clean, the corpse is too high to retrieve, and we'll need to wait for the bones to fall. Mother stood outside for a few minutes, soaking in the silence she knew would not last. She probably made a few wishes, prayed a few prayers, yet she didn't blow dandelion, so it was all useless. The door squealed shut, the hinges begging to be cared for. The whole house was begging for care, swaying when the wind got too strong, the ceilings leaking when the rain was a bit more than a drizzle, the floors riddled with ruined wood that wouldn't hesitate to give you a splinter. The murder arrived hours later, when the sun was above the trees, bleeding in through the windows. Mother let them chatter like children and continued to scrub the dishes. Mother begged Father to leave it alone, to let the crows continue to squawk, to not let it get to him. If he chased them away, they would just come back. But Father's eyes grew deeper and darker, the bags under his eyes grew larger and larger, and it was a miracle his eyes could withstand their weight. It wasn't long before the bodies were left on the trees, before Father stopped his climbs. It was 7 months after the bodies started to appear, 7 months after the crows first arrived. He began to sleep late, only waking when breakfast was ready, when Mother went to get him. The water for his showers began to run for hours at a time, Mother saying that he just forgot to turn it off. Father's words lost their weight as he lost his opinions, as he lost his thoughts, and he grew silent. The sun fell, and the bones followed, making room for another body. The door screamed open, just to slam shut moments later. Mother left to clear the bones, dragging a wheelbarrow alongside her. She took her time loading the scraps into it, meticulously avoiding the shreds of meat left by the crows. It took her longer every night. She was becoming old, or tired. It was tired. Mother's skin lacked the wrinkles of age, but was stricken by the wrinkles of stress. Her face was reddened by eyes of sorrow, and her warmth stolen by a fake smile. Mother vanished into the forest with the bones, as we do when discarding them. This and sleep are the only times she is alone, alone with her thoughts, when she is only taking care of herself. And ever since Father left, she has been asking to take care of the bones every night, eyes glistening in the light due to the buildup of tears she refuses to shed until she is alone. None of this comes with age. The bodies started coming once a month, eventually going up to 2 by the 3rd month, and 3 by the 5th. Mother's face showed the same classic reaction, shocked reaction, as Father's had gotten used to it after the 6th body. There was no rhyme or rhythm to the rate of the bodies, but they always showed up when we've gone to sleep. We've tried to stay up all night to see where the bodies come from, but when the sun is fully past the horizon, we become blind to the outside. We thought that if we left the bodies up, there wouldn't be enough room for another on the tree. But there were always enough crows to pluck the body down to the bones. Dawn came with another murder of crows, all sitting on the branches of the pine tree that loomed over our house. They spoke to themselves, giving directions and telling each other to eat. Each took their time, each eating a different part of the body, one on each of the legs, one pecking each of the arms, one pulling off the skin on the stomach between the body's hips and ribs, and one trying to gulp down a full eye while it was still connected to the nerves. It was unusual for one murderer to stay this long, usually leaving when breakfast was ready. But the house lacked the aroma of eggs, the floorboards lacked the creaking of Mother's pacing about,